All right, we are live. So before we really get going, beautiful. I'm gonna share this out on my page quick to make sure my people are watching.
Is the link that you sent me? Is that the link people need or?
No, it's gonna be on the Rock Academy's Facebook page.
Okay, I shared it, so
So
hopefully people show up.
so yeah. So everybody, thanks for joining us. We got a couple people. People are starting to hop on now. So as that happens, we'll just kind of chat and see what's been going on. For those that don't know, I'm Greg, and I run the QC Rock Academy in Davenport, Iowa. We're a music school here, and we're going through a lot of changes right now because, of course, we can't teach in person, so we're doing all online video stuff. So then I started reaching out to some of the guys in the industry that I know to help hopefully keep some kids engaged and have a chance to talk to like some pros.
Yeah.
And ask you some questions and
former pros.
You're temporarily
Ugh.
well, you're not unemployed.
No. I mean, that's the thing. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just the thought of actually playing music live or in a studio right now just seems like years ago already.
Yeah. So so how have you been dealing with this whole thing?
I'm good. I mean, everybody I know is healthy, and I'm still employed, hypothetically, technically, on paper.
Yeah.
Got two little kids, 3 and 2, 2.5, like 2.5 and almost 4. So they don't know any different, really. I mean, they don't.
Yeah.
We don't talk about it. We don't watch the actual news in front of them, so that they don't understand any. We still play all day and we go for walks, and we have a swing set in the backyard. So they don't really know, and the weather's been pretty good here too.
Yeah, like today it's beautiful out.
Yeah.
My kids have been outside playing with their friends for the last like 3 hours.
Yeah. It's been nice. I mean, think whatever that it happens right now instead of December 25th.
Yeah. If it was wintertime, we wouldn't think nothing of it.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, in the Midwest, you wouldn't know the difference. You're just inside no matter what. So.
Yeah. So it's I'm trying to get this all set up on my phone so I can see who's Kent Slusher's on.
Hey, Kent.
He says hi, Daxx.
He's a good buddy of mine. We had some good Cajun food in, I think, St. Louis one day before he played a gig. And he and I have been buddies for years now, and I wish he could get back on the road, and I wish I could get on the road. And
yeah,
so, it's affecting everybody, so you can't get too down about it because it's not like you don't have a gig, like nobody else does either. So.
Yeah, true. So what'd you guys have? You were actually doing the family thing.
Yeah, I was supposed to have 14 shows this month doing a band called the Nielsen Trust with my brother Miles and my dad and my brother's wife Kelly, and then a couple of Miles's band members from his original band. They were kind of they rounded out the band, bass player and a multi-instrumentalist. And we did two shows in the Wisconsin Dells, and it was great. Sold out both nights. Really kind of getting in the swing of things. And the next thing you knew, it's like 12 shows canceled immediately. It was, not immediately, but the discussion happened within, a few days of those 2 shows. And then it was like, well, let's wait and hear from the venues what they think. Because, it was still starting, even now, I mean, there's only, I hate to say it only, but, it's not like all over the Midwest still. It's in spots. I mean, we didn't know at the time if it was like we could still do the gigs and get through the month, and then things would get worse. But now things are worse. So obviously, nobody's doing gigs.
That first week, once it started hitting, it's like by the hour, everything was changing.
Yeah, and my wife, my mother-in-law is a former nurse, so I mean, immediately she was like, "This is not normal. Like this is." About 5 weeks ago or whatever, she's like, this is not going to be good. So like we kind of took it real seriously right away.
Yeah.
And with Rick in the band, he's 71 years old, 70, he's in his 70s, and it's like we don't need to get him out there just to play a gig. We can reschedule. So we kind of pulled the chute pretty quick. It wasn't like, well, we'll wait and see what the venues say. So
yeah, because I know you were supposed to play here in the Quad Cities. I think the show was supposed to be last Thursday.
Yeah.
There was a whole bunch of us that were planning on going to the show, but
yeah. we'll reschedule. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm hoping and I'm confident that the world will go back to the world at some point. So, whenever that is.
Yeah. Who knows?
Whenever it's safe to get out there, we're going to definitely reschedule because, I think we did 2 shows and we really realized like this could be really cool. And the crowds that were there those 2 nights really dug it. So I think we'll probably book more shows when it's available,
Yeah. I was so excited because I saw the set list from the first show.
Yeah.
And like you were throwing in like some Harmony Riley stuff from way back in the day.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I can't wait to hear those songs again.
Yeah.
But we'll catch you the next whenever it happens.
I was in a band called Harmony Riley with my brother Miles and a couple other guys, and Greg, otherwise known as
we won't talk about that. There's kids watching.
He had a funny nickname back in those days.
Yeah.
His band and our band, we toured together a lot around the Midwest. So that's how I've known you probably 21 years now, something like that.
Yeah. Our band got together in 99.
Yeah. So
it was right in those early days.
The Quad Cities back then. So yeah, it's been a good 20 years that we've known each other.
Yeah, I know. Played some shows at like Ribco and the Q Bar up in Iowa City.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
I think back to that place, like some of the nights when we go up and see you, and it was those that have never been to the Q Bar in Iowa City. It was up on the 2nd level.
Yeah.
And people would be packed in there, and the floor was bouncing like 6 inches up and down.
Think about it now; it's like kind of scary.
Yeah. That thing could have easily collapsed, but man, those are some good times.
Yeah, great times.
So yeah, that's how we got to meet each other was back then. And actually, Daxx, Wicked Liz, it's her birthday today. So if you could give her a shout out, I think she's watching right now.
Hi, Wicked Liz. You're not so wicked anymore. You've probably grown up and tamed down a bit, but miss you. Miss playing gigs together and miss just playing gigs. And hope you have a great birthday today. 25.
I won't.
And you must have been like 7 when I met you.
Well, when we got our band together, man, she was 19, I think.
Yeah.
So she wasn't even old enough to play in the bars that we were playing in.
I wasn't either. I'm born in 1980. She's turning 40. Is that what that was?
41, I believe.
Yeah, so she's a year older
41.
than me. I was definitely sneaking beers illegally.
Yeah. So let's see, Harmony Riley, which I loved that band. It was one of my all-time favorite like regional bands.
Yeah.
And I still listen to it on a regular basis.
You poor thing.
I love that stuff.
No, me too. Good memories. I mean, it's different when it's your own band. You don't kind of go back and pop on your CD ever.
Yeah. Yeah, I listen to some of our early stuff. I'm like, ugh, okay.
Yeah.
But people still want to hear the songs. So I guess that's what we still do then.
It was a funny band because we started out kind of in the vein of Medeski, Martin and Wood meets Dave Matthews meets a few other jam bands. And we got really popular. And it's like we would sell at the House of Blues in Chicago once every 3 months. And then we started going like we really liked the Black Crowes and Government Mule and like some rockin' bands. Like let's kind of less jammy. Let's do more like still jam band, but more like rock and roll. And we loved our older stuff. Like I'm sorry, the newer stuff I would say. And all of a sudden our fan base just started dropping. We're like, maybe we should go back to the wiki, jam stuff because that's when we did better. But
yeah. So once that band, what was that? That split up in probably what? 02, 03?
99. Or I'm sorry, 04.
04.
Yeah, I moved to Los Angeles in September 04. So we probably played our last official gig in July or August of 04.
Okay. And then so those of you that don't know, Miles' band now, they are stupid good.
Yeah.
Like Miles is ridiculously talented.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite songwriters that's out there. So
and his whole band's great. I mean, harmonies, great guitar players, everybody in the band's the best in the area. You know, he has the best band in the land, as they would say.
So check out Miles Nielsen and the Rusted Hearts.
Yeah.
And you will not be disappointed.
He's been doing some live stream concerts from his living room with his wife Kelly.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw the one a couple nights ago.
Every Thursday they do a live thing on Facebook and play for like a 90-minute show, just acoustic in their living room. It's
great. I caught probably about half the show on this last week.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
He's killer. So I'm gonna see if we got any. Hey Dax, is the 5:30 show? So what's that? May 30th show in Lake Charles, Louisiana, going to be rescheduled? I'm assuming this one is canceled.
I don't know. I have not gotten word from any Cheap Trick affiliated concert ideas. We're supposed to be in Canada all of May with ZZ Top, like from Vancouver all the way to Prince Edward Island, and I think I haven't heard anything, but I'm not holding my breath. I'm not checking my my airline apps to see when my plane flight is, because I don't think I'm sure everything's going to get pushed back and rescheduled. It's just until this thing gets somewhat figured out. I don't think anybody, especially guys in their 70s, should be being subjected to meet and greets. And not that we don't. I mean, I wish more than anything I could go right now and go play a gig, but until it's safe to do so and smart to do so, I don't think anything until you hear otherwise. Nothing's happening.
Yeah. And if you haven't watched the ZZ Top documentary on Netflix right now, get out and do it. Stay in and do it, I should say.
Yeah. Frank Beard, he really enjoyed doing drugs back in the day, I think.
That's what it sounded like.
Whoa. He really dug it.
So, and then you had, was it Rod Stewart you're supposed to do this summer too?
Yeah, that's 112 days from now. Not that I'm counting, but
no.
The drummer David Palmer and I, we've been texting a lot, going like, okay, 114 days. We should be good by then.
What's that? July
28th or something like that. Okay. Yeah, it starts. So
yeah, because I saw that like even Summerfest in Milwaukee is already switched their dates to like September.
Yeah, it's uncharted territories for any line of work. It's people. The news doesn't really talk about it, but I truly think that the first industry that was shut down was the music industry. Before anything else, restaurants or bars, it was like people were leaving tours halfway through the tour, just flying home, like getting out of, it's like roadies, guitar techs, whatever you want to call them. I grew up with older guys. They still call them roadies. Techs, musicians, bus drivers, semi-truck drivers, catering people, everybody, hundreds of thousands of people were out of work immediately, it's non-essential, which I think is kind of BS, because art is essential, but I get it, like it is non-essential. You don't actually need it to survive,
because we still have it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's just that those people in that line of the work,
right,
unfortunately, there's nothing we can do.
No, it's gonna, I truly think that when we get the green light, there's gonna be more concerts than ever. I think people are gonna be scrambling to book shows and go on tour and get back to doing it. So, it's when it comes back, and I believe it will, it's going to be, people are just going to be overloaded with options of stuff to do and go see. So
let's hope so, man.
Yeah. It's
like with our band, we were actually off for a little while. We actually flew over to Taiwan and did some shows the first week of this year.
You guys came back from Asia. It's Wicked Liz and the Belly Swirls.
Yeah, how you like that?
Patient Zero.
So, we actually, on the flight, was flying through Hong Kong to Kaohsiung, Taiwan, was where we played at.
Yeah.
And it was a week and a half, 2 weeks after we got back is when they're like, hey, there's this virus hitting in China. And I was like, and of course, my mom, she heard about it. She's like, I hope you didn't get it.
Yeah.
I'm like, Mom, it's been 2 weeks. I'm fine. But then you're like, looking back, I'm like, man, I did drink from a water fountain when I was in Hong Kong in the airport. It's like, maybe I did. Maybe I did. I'm okay. But it was just scary all around. But everybody got back fine. And
good.
It was an amazing trip for us.
I think that Steve Wozniak, I think that's how you pronounce his name, from Apple.
Apple.
He thinks he was in Wuhan with his wife, and he flew back like in late December, and he got sick. He thinks he might be the one that brought it over first
into Seattle.
It's pretty ballsy to say that out loud for somebody. Hey, it was me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry. He can pay for everybody's treatment. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about music instead.
Yeah. So, I'll wait on that one. So, since you're stuck at home, do you still take time each day to play?
I do, more than ever, actually. My kind of routine is spend, the first few hours with my kids. God, they get my older one gets up by 6 every day. So from about 6 a.m. till 1 o'clock, it's family time. And then our younger guy, he goes down for a 2.5 hour nap every day still. So
I miss those days.
I go for a run. I've been running every day for 17 days straight now, which is kind of fantastic. And pick on my beard, try to grow my beard as long as I can before I go back to work.
So, just in case this ZZ Top thing happens.
I'm ready. I know if Frank can't make it, there'll be 3 guys with beards down their balls. And then back to family time until bedtime. And then once bedtime happens, either I watch some stuff with my wife. You know, we're watching The Tiger King right now, of course, which is the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life.
I watched it.
Yeah,
I watched it, and then I'm like, Jenny, you got to watch this too.
I'll watch it.
And she never really sits down and watches like multiple documentary shows in a row or any kind of series.
Yeah.
So the other night, we got the kids to bed. I'm like, you just got to watch the first episode.
If you don't,
And then she's like,
we call it no thank you bite for the kids. Try one bite. If you don't like it, you don't have to eat anymore. It's like, just take a no.
So we watched that one episode.
Yeah.
And then she's like, you know, it shows next episode.
Yeah.
And she's like,
yes,
I can stay up for one more.
Yeah.
And then she woke up yesterday and she came down to do some laundry. And she's like, the girls are on their tablets playing. I'm going to go watch another episode. Yeah. So she's hooked. I think she has one more to go.
Yeah. It's yeah. If I was childless, I would definitely like just binge that whole thing in one night, stay up till 5 a.m. just watching it. But instead I get up about 5 a.m. So
I'm going to try to hit the new season of Ozark tonight.
Yeah, I heard that's great. And we recorded all of Homeland. We got all kinds of TV to watch. But we go to bed. My wife goes to bed at 9:30 every night now because she gets up and does like a little meditation yoga kind of hour before the kids get up. So we only get like about an hour, maybe an episode or 2 before she's got to go to sleep. So that's when to answer your question, long story longer, that's when I go down and play. I got a Roland V-drum kit. And I just sit down, put my headphones on, and just play electronic drums every day for usually till about midnight. So a couple hours.
I love the V drums. We got some of those at the studio.
It's not the real thing, but it gets your body moving, and you know there's songs that you can play with and click tracks, and it's about the next best thing versus just beating some loud drums. Exactly.
All right, so question from Leo, our guitar player, Leo.
Nice.
What's your favorite Cheap Trick deep cut that you like to play?
Ooh. Well, with the Nielsen Trust, the 2 shows that we got to do, I like to pick some songs because the whole point was to not play a Cheap Trick show. Like it was a band, like we played some songs from my brothers and I band, the Harmony Riley band, and then we played songs from Miles's current band, and then we were doing a bunch of deep cuts, Cheap Trick wise. And Why Oh Why Oh Why was one of them, which is off the Next Position Please. That's super great. The song that I've been in Cheap Trick 10 years now, and for 9 years I requested How About You, which is off of Standing on the Edge, I think, or maybe The Doctor. I don't know, one of the 2. But it's okay. I finally got them to learn it, and then we started doing it like almost every night for like a month or 2. It's great. So I love like playing Big Eyes, which we do almost every night because it's a great second or third song. Just gets the crowd into it. It's just one of those songs I can play that song twice a show, every show. Big Eyes, or I love deep cut would be You're All Talk In Color. It's kind of like a disco tune, which is super fun to play.
Fun.
I like they're all different. And people always say like, don't you get sick of playing I Want You to Want Me? And it's like, no, because every venue is different, every crowd is different, every day is different. You know, depending on how your day was, no matter what, you play I Want You to Want Me, and the crowd stands up and starts, you know, recording or doing. It's like, how could you get sick of that? You know, it's like it's deep cuts or not. I love playing in Cheap Trick. Period. I just love playing music in period.
And how long now? How long have you been in the band now?
March 2010. So I just had my 10-year anniversary.
Okay.
I've been playing with them since 2001, though. My first gig ever with them, I did a whole summer filling in for Bunny in 2001. So I've been playing for them for, 19 years technically.
Wow. You're big time, Daxx.
Hard.
So so yeah, I think I've seen you with I think 5 times now since you've been in the band.
Okay.
And the one that I loved the most probably was well, I really enjoyed all of them. But seeing you guys open up for Foo Fighters at Wrigley Field,
Oh,
because you're a
say
big
that
Cubs
again.
fan.
We did, yeah. I got to play Wrigley Field twice. That's just unbelievable.
What was the other one?
Zach Brown Band.
Okay, that's an
Which,
interesting
both shows were
combination.
sold out, so it's that it wasn't ever a bucket list thing because up until recently nobody played baseball stadiums. It was like the last 5 or 6 years when that all started happening. So I never thought I'd play Wrigley Field. It wasn't even it didn't even register, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, we're opening for Zach Brown Band, which seemed strange, but Zach's a fan, so it's like, and they're pretty rock and roll. They're not country, which I thought they were. It's more rock, really.
Yeah, they were just in town the first night of.
Uh-oh. I think we lost Greg.
Oh,
there you are.
I'm back. Little flash there for a second. But yeah, they had the first night of their tour was here in the Quad Cities, and some of the guys invited us to bring some students to hang out and do a little pre-show hangout and whatnot. And they let the kids, check out the stage and all that, and gave the kids pit tickets right up in the front. And I think they got through.
So cool.
I think they got through 4 dates of the tour and had to cancel everything.
Oh, this is recent. Oh, really recently?
Yeah, it was like 3 weeks ago.
Man.
So yeah,
Crazy.
all the work that went into it. The road crew was here like 10 days early. Working on the staging and setting it up and tearing it down and the lights and all that.
Yeah.
And they got 4 dates into it and had to shut it down.
Yeah. I mean, I've actually been talking to people about when things get back to normal and how a lot of bands like that, or, big bands, they're not going to be able to get it all together quickly. But a band like Cheap Trick, we have 1 semi truck full of gear and that's it.
Yeah.
We can get out as soon as it's green light. I guarantee we're going to be back, hitting it hard before a lot of the Lady Gagas or Taylor Swifts can go out and put on these, the big concerts. So,
yeah.
So I think the bands of smaller level are going to get back out sooner because there's way less, like you said, prep time. You don't need 10 days to go out and play. We can set up right now and just start rocking.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm right, man. Can you tell I'm ready?
Yeah, I think you're jonesing, man.
So we play more gigs than just about any band out there. We're over 100 shows a year. So to be home this long for us is kind of
yeah. Well, it's good for you because
those guys, they're older. They're probably enjoying the time off.
Yeah. Well, you get to spend time with all your kids and.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's been great.
But it's when you're used to doing it, and now you don't get to do it. So speaking of that, Ken Slusher wants to know, how do you juggle family and the road?
Well, he would know because he's a family man as well, and we both. I can't speak for Ken, but I assume I'm rambling right now, Kent. I'm nervous talking to a famous drummer like him. I've got a great wife that she's a great mother, and we've been together since before I was in Cheap Trick. And I've always been in bands, but I was touring when I met her with another act. But I think we kind of gradually, I got busier and busier, and so I think, and then we had kids 5 years into our marriage. So she is able to hold down the fort when I'm gone and make sure everybody's healthy and happy and safe and educated.
Because you guys do a lot of fly dates, right?
Yeah. I mean, the summertime we're gone for weeks at a time, but for the most part, we'll go out for 5 or 6 or 10 days max, and then come home for a while and then go back out.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just weekends. Leave on Wednesday or Thursday and come home Sunday. But Kent, I think we love what we do, so our wives appreciate that, and they understand that we're not just out there just having fun. It's we're also doing it for a living, and we're lucky to do so.
It's not like it was in the 80s when it was just partying excess and getting as belligerent drunk and women and all that kind of crazy stuff. I've been to enough Cheap Trick shows.
My wife.
Most of those ladies are well above your range, I think. Anyway,
my wife came to a Cheap Trick show early on, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm not worried about you on the road." She looked at the audience. She's like, "Okay, I think we're fine." No offense, Cheap Trick fans.
No, they're all beautiful women.
Beautiful in their own ways. Yes.
Yes. So let's see. This person wants to know: are you interested in writing songs, and do you do any writing of your own?
I do. I've always written. The band I had with my brother, we were co-writers on everything. I've written some songs for Cheap Trick that haven't made it to albums. I've co-written some songs that are on some Cheap Trick albums. Honestly, when you got two little kids, though, I mean, my music time is usually about 9 p.m. until 11 or so while everybody's asleep. So if I were to get on the drums, or I play piano and guitar as well, like if I were to do any of that, they would just be all over me and I really couldn't get anywhere. And I'm not going to like disappear for 2 hours a day to go write music. But long story long, as most of my stories are. I haven't been writing as much. I need to get back to it, but I think when my kids in a couple of years are in school full time, then I'll have a few hours, 4 or 5 hours a day where I can really focus on that again.
Yeah, that's what I told myself.
Music, these days, you do it if you love it. There's no money in writing unless you're some kind of big star, because really you write music for yourself, and then you can play that music on the road, and that's the stream of income anymore. So
yeah,
being a songwriter, it has to really, it's got to be something you do for that you're good at and you do it for your passion versus trying to be a songwriter.
Exactly. So when you guys are touring, like you have your staple songs that you play every night, Want You to Want Me, Dream Police, Surrender, all that. How many songs do you have ready to go at any given time, do you think?
I've got 4 laminated sheets. I keep all the tempos because we switch up our set list every day. I mean, like you said, there's the ones we kind of have to do, and there's a certain amount of songs that we keep in a rotation, like California Man, which is a big song. It was off Budokan, and people know that kind of stuff. But I think we usually play between 19 and 24 songs a night, and I bet 16 of those are interchangeable. I have 4 sheets laminated of songs that we know, and I think there's 185 songs on those sheets that we can do really anytime, and that's not even half their catalog. I mean, that's that's the stuff that we've done already, since I've been with them. So they've got so many great songs and so many great albums that for a long time they kind of never changed their set list, and then I kind of pestered them to, hey, let's play this song. And they were open to it, and so we started just learning songs, in the dressing room, or if we have a sound check, which typically we don't do a sound check. We do so many gigs that they don't want to be at the venue any longer than they have to. So typically we'll show up an hour and a half before the show. But typically, like normally we'll just play it acoustically in the dressing room and then just go out. And Rick always says our mistakes are real, like there's no tracks, there's no backing tracks. If we screw up, we'll start over or we'll just keep going, whatever. The fans enjoy that. I think it's, we're not trying to be perfect up there, but I think hearing a song that you haven't heard in 20 years and the band has never played live, it's a treat for anybody. And if there's a couple bad notes, so be it.
Yeah, you're human, man. It's all right.
I think for a band that's been together for 45 years or whatever, almost 50 years, like switching it up keeps it fresh. It's more work than you probably want to do because you actually have to learn stuff and work on it. Yeah. But the shows are more fun when you can kind of pull out something that you've been looking forward to playing for a while, or you're kind of nervous because, like, what if we screw this up, versus just doing the same set, the same way, the same. I've seen some bands that like literally say the same things between the same songs. It's like, how do you? It works. These bands selling more tickets than Cheap Trick, I suppose. But you see like a band like Kiss, like they've literally played the same set list for 25 years now. Yeah. Like, how?
Same banter between,
same exact talk. Yeah, same dialogue between the songs. Like it's not supposed to be a job. We're lucky to get paid for it, but it's like, it's you do it because you're creative and have fun doing it. I couldn't imagine doing that. I mean,
like I loved it when I just saw Kiss on the farewell tour this past year.
Yeah.
Farewell tour. And it was actually like, because everything is so, all the videos are done to click and all set to how it's supposed to go.
Right.
But when Gene gets on the thing and spits the blood and flies up to the ceiling,
yeah,
he grabs his boom stand to like bring it towards him, and it broke off.
Oh,
and it just like hung there, and just swung. And he was trying to fix it, and still trying to look cool. You just spit blood out over the crowd, and there's like this microphone, and he's holding it, and there's like these roadie guys are coming out and trying to duct tape it onto the stand, and it was just. It was the best part. It's on YouTube. It's and this went on for honestly probably 2 minutes.
That's perfect.
Like he's standing there waiting to fly up, and he couldn't do nothing about it. So
that's the best part of the show for sure.
I love the human aspect of that.
Yes.
He's still trying to be the cool. Oh yeah, and get the crowd to come back at him.
He's a really nice guy in person, and he's pretty funny too. It's like. He comes across as I'm Gene Simmons, but if you actually like hang with him and outside of the thing, he's actually pretty hilarious.
Yeah. So you grew up in the rock star world with your dad,
right?
Do you still ever get starstruck?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's more people that aren't in music. Honestly, like, I mean, I got to. Paul McCartney gave me one of these ones. He gave me the Paul McCartnney.
Okay.
He pointed at me and touched his nose, and I've never actually talked to him, but he did that, and like that was a long time ago now, but I still get goosebumps talking about that. I mean, I met Bobby Flay recently, and that kind of was like, I love to cook. I love food. I don't know if you know that about me. People that are like, I like every rock star wants to be a baseball player. Every baseball player wants to be a rock star kind of thing. Like, yeah, I know how this industry works. So like when I see people that are like, a famous chef or a golfer, if I got to meet Tiger Woods, I probably wouldn't speak, or whatever, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I still do get starstruck. And I mean, anybody that's at the top of their game in any industry is pretty incredible, but they're still humans. But
yeah. Still, for me, the one guy I really, really want to meet, Dave Grohl, and I know you guys know Dave
quite a bit. Yeah, there's two guys I've met that are huge, that are the nicest people in the world. It's Dave Grohl and Eddie Vedder. Ed Vedder. Don't call me Eddie. I'm Ed.
Ed.
They're the same person, except they're like the most genuine. If you're talking to them, they're not looking around the room. They're only talking to you at that moment. But Dave's obviously like high intensity, super energy, ADD guy.
Yeah.
And then Eddie's like he's surfer guy. Like, he's so chill that like he's like half asleep almost. He's so cool. He's like a McConaughey kind of dude. Like, all right.
Yeah.
But they're both super, like, honestly, for how massive of artists they are, like normal, down to earth, give you the time of day, talk to you, just you kind of guys. So.
One of these days,
I got to drum for Eddie 2 nights in a row about 6 years ago. We did a thing for the Chicago Cubs before they won the World Series, and I got to. I was his drummer for 2 nights, and that was probably one of the coolest things I've ever done, without a doubt.
That is great. Yeah. What was it? Was it just Eddie, or was it
It was just him, but it was a full band. It was Len Casper was on bass. He's the TV broadcaster for the Chicago Cubs. And then a bunch of guys from the city, Boston, not the band. Theo Epstein, who was the manager of the general manager of the Cubs, used to manage he was the general manager of the Red Sox, and it's a foundation that he has called the foundation's called a foundation to be named later, I think, but it's this event called Hot Stove Cool Music, and it's a baseball event. Peter Gammons, baseball analyst, is part of it, and so they do it in Boston in December, I think, and then they do it in Chicago in June. So a bunch of those Boston musicians were the backup band, as well as me and a guy named Jason Narducci, great musician out of Chicago area, Evanston. Yes, so it was Eddie Vedder, but with a backing band, and I got to be the drummer. because Jimmy Chamberlain from the Pumpkins was supposed to do it, but
Yeah.
Billy called and they had to like go record, or
Oh,
he like got back with Billy, and so I was a second choice, but I got to, thank God I got to play with Eddie Vedder for 2 nights.
there you go. Because I remember that time was last summer. You guys played up at Iowa City, and we were hanging out on the bus after the show.
Yeah,
and
spotted cows.
Yeah, those were delicious. I appreciate that.
I could use one of those right now.
I have about 15 of them in my fridge right now.
I'll be right. I will risk quarantine.
Some friends of ours, right before this quarantine happened, came down from Milwaukee and brought it.
Yeah.
And I've been just reserving it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were sitting there watching the Cubs game. I think they were in LA that night.
Yeah.
And like
right.
the game's over for like 2 minutes, and you're getting like text message from Glenn Casper the second he got off the TV. I'm like, what? This is crazy.
Yeah. He's got to be going kind of crazy. I mean, like we all are, but I mean, baseball season's going right now, and there should be. He's sitting at home, like everybody else.
We should get him on here.
Hey, we should. He's a smart guy, really. I mean, I think he was like magna cum laude from whatever college he went to, and like valedictorian of his college. He's a super smart guy.
He's an amazingly good announcer. Like the Cubs have the best team, like on radio and on TV.
I thought Pat Hughes, Len Casper to me are like the two. After, especially now that Vin Scully's retired.
Yeah.
Vin Scully for the Dodgers, he was number one, but to me, Pat Hughes is the number 2 radio guy.
Yeah.
And now he's number 1 for me.
Oh, absolutely. So, real question, and I'm sure everybody watching this wants to know that knows you. Where are the best taco places in the U.S.?
Well, depends what you like. Do you like carne asada? You like El Pastor? You like chorizo? Oh, man.
Yes.
If you ever get to the Vegas area, Tacos El Gordo, there's a few locations in Vegas and a few other places. That's about the best I've ever had. The problem is they have 2 different lines, and it's always packed. And there's a beef line and an El Pastor line, and you can't order both for whatever reason. So if you get in line, and I mean, I've waited in line there for a good half hour, which is ridiculous. All you can get is a steak, and then you have to get back in line to go get your El Pastor. The Midwest actually has good. Chicago's got great like grocery store taco. Like you go to a Mexican grocery store, and in the back there's like a taqueria back there.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. You have to come to Rockford. There's 5 or 6 different places I like to frequent, and one has a specialty that I like, and then another one I go to for something else.
Yeah. I was just thinking that over the weekend. I'm like, man, I am needing some Mexican food badly.
Have you seen that meme? It's Kermit staring out the window. It's like, I know y'all think I'm doing all right, but I really miss eating Mexican food. Or it was something like that.
Yeah. I wonder if the tacos miss me as much as I miss them.
Man, I think I've probably lost like 7 pounds since I've been home because I'm just eating normal portions and
Yeah, and you're running.
Yeah, I've been running a lot, which I do on the road anyways, but it's Mexican food. I can't stop. And then you get the chips and chip and salsa to start, which is just there's 1,000 calories before you've had your meal.
Yeah, that's what I missed.
We had a guitar tech named Larry Malera who passed away, and he was this big 400-pound Mexican. And we were talking about food one day, and he said something like, "Yeah, somebody asked me once if Mexican food is good for you," and he goes, "Have you ever seen a skinny Mexican?" And, I miss that guy. He was hilarious. Yeah, refried beans, just a pound of lard with some beans. Probably not that low fat.
But it's delicious.
But who cares? It's worth
YOLO.
Oh man, I miss it.
Okay, so let's move on to another question. Actually, we have a little kid named Quincy that comes to the academy, and his grandma's asking this question. When did you start playing, and do your children play?
I started playing officially when I was 12. I grew up in a house with instruments everywhere, and so there's always a drum set up. There was always a piano in the house, and there was always guitars laying around. So I kind of just gravitated naturally. I started just picking things up and figuring it out. My parents put me in piano lessons when I was in kindergarten, and I took piano until I graduated high school. So I officially took lessons on piano for 12 years.
Okay.
But I never took drum lessons or guitar lessons. I taught myself how to play all the other instruments, because I think if you play piano, you learn left and right hand coordination, you learn theory, you learn scales, you learn form, whatever. So I always played drums. When I was 12, that's when I really was like, okay, this is my thing. Like, my dad plays guitar, and then my older brother Miles plays guitar. So I played guitar as well, but I was like, I don't want to be the third guitar player in the family. You know, I want to do something that they can't do, which has paid off, because I've been employed by my dad for 10 years, and then I was in a band with my brother for 8-9 years as well. So when I was 12 is when that's when I started going down the basement and putting the headphones on and just playing drums for hours. And got in my first band when I was 12, playing drums. So playing drums since I was 12. And my kids are only 2.5 and 4. So they do bang around on things, but they're not actually playing. I mean, they've had sticks in their hands since they were 1. You know, they stand on the piano and just bang away, but they don't play yet.
Yeah. Yeah. But
if they want to, they can, but I'm not going to force them to. It's not something that you have.
Because you have other siblings too that aren't musicians.
Yeah. No, yeah. There's 4 of us, and only 2 of us are musicians.
So, but yeah, like I was going to say, like, with my daughter, my daughter just turned 8 the other day, and then the other one is 5. And we have a program at the Rock Academy called Kids Rock.
Yeah.
And it's for ages 4 to 7.
Wow.
And everything's is like color coded. So they actually learn to play as a band.
Oh, that's so cool.
So it's a little bitty drum kit, and then like a Squire mini guitar that has just 3 strings on it.
Start simple, start basic. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have a small keyboard that, you know, all the letters are just stickered and colored on the keys.
Mm-hmm.
And we teach the kids how to play, and they're actually really getting it. And now that we're kind of quarantined at home, I have my drum kit, my practice kit here in the basement. And my daughter's like, can you bring the kids' rock guitar home so we can play together? I'm like, absolutely.
Yes.
So
that's got to be, I mean, people always ask me what it's like playing with my dad, and he must be so proud. Or now, I don't really think about it that way, but like thinking of you playing with your daughter, or me eventually playing with my kids, it's got to be pretty special.
Oh yeah. And it's very, very, very simple stuff,
right?
But she's getting it.
Yeah.
And that's the amazing. And she asked me to play. I'm like, absolutely, we're going to play together if you want to.
It's good. Simple is good.
Like my older daughter, not a bit of interest.
Yeah.
But the little one, she's like, yes, because their band is called the Taco Pirates.
I'm in. Can I be the drummer? I'll fill in for you. How about that?
Yeah, there we go. We'll print up some shirts for you. But yeah, it's so much fun. So another question, actually a friend of mine, Scotty, up in Dubuque.
Scotty.
He's actually booked you guys a couple times up there. He's a concert promoter guy.
Yeah.
So he wants to know, will there ever be a Harmony Riley reunion?
We did quite a few of those, Scotty. Thank you for the question. I left. We started in '97 and we broke up in '04. So we did 7 years and it ran its course. And then for probably 3 or 4 years after that, we'd get back together and do like a Thanksgiving or Christmas shows, kind of reunions. And there was a good demand for it. Like people reminisced, and it was like people were still coming home to visit their families and friends. And
I went to one of those. I think the last one.
Proudly. Our original guitar player has passed away, and then our second guitar player moved out to Colorado, and he's a bud trimmer, if you will. He's in the farming industry. And, our bass player, he owns a software company now, and there's not and I think the demand for it, people at our age, they're not going to concerts on Christmas Eve anymore, and it's like well, I don't think so. I think at this point, for a long time, we remembered the music because it was still just so fresh to us. But now it'd be like a bunch of guys, and Miles has his own band that's doing great.
Yeah.
It's like he's playing those nights anyways, and I've been doing trick.
Show I went to, and it worked for me.
Together again. But the Nielsen Trust band that I've been doing, I'm supposed to be doing right now. We were doing about 3 or 4 Harmony Riley songs right in the middle of the set.
Yeah.
So we do Cheap Trick, and then we do some Miles tunes, and then we do Rick leaves the stage to go get some water, take a cat nap, and so yeah. If you come see the Nielsen Trust, Scotty,
Actually, he had you guys booked for the Q Casino in Dubuque.
Oh, yeah, that was the last show that was added. Man, that was a Tuesday night or something like that. We were looking forward to that one, big time.
Yeah.
Thanks for booking us, and hopefully we can honor your booking at some point later on.
I'm sure he'd be glad to have you. He's one of the biggest Cheap Trick fans that I know. I think he's seen you guys or the band itself like 40 sometimes.
Yeah,
so
I mean, I definitely think we're gonna get out. I guarantee, if everyone stays healthy and everything goes well, back to plan. Cheap Trick's gonna make up for lost time and book a ton of shows. So I don't know how much free time we'll have to do the Nielsen Trust, but we'll at least honor the shows that we were supposed to do, and hopefully book more, because it was going to be a lot of fun for everybody.
Yeah. So I actually got another message from Scotty. He's seen the band 73 times.
That's it? Come on.
I know. I think he's been slacking. Just not coming around close enough or something.
Please see us some more, Scotty. That'd be great.
So, any new Cheap Trick music coming?
Yes. We've had an album done. It's going to come out sometime soon. It's been ready since last year, but Cheap Trick was signed to Big Machine label for a 3-album deal, and we put out 3 albums, and so the deal was done. So then the band was looking for a new label, which they signed to BMG last year, but it was already kind of like in the fall, so you don't really want to put out an album and then not be able to tour on it. So I think it's going to come out. The plan is to have it come out late spring so that we could promote the new songs on the summer tour. But who knows what's happening now? Maybe it'll get released tomorrow, because who cares?
Yeah, just put it out. It's like the Tiger King thing. Like, what better timing than right now to put that movie out?
We should name the album The Tiger King.
You should get old Joe Exotic to do a couple tracks with you.
My wife and I were laughing. It's like, it's not actually that. His songs, and it's not as bad as you think it would be. Like,
well, I found out there's stuff going around like the last couple of days. It's not him.
Maybe that's why it's not so bad.
Yeah, somebody else wrote the songs, and it's like a Milli Vanilli kind of thing. He just paid these guys like a flat fee to record this stuff, and then makes videos of his own. So if you haven't watched the video for Here Kitty Kitty,
oh yeah, I have. Oh yeah,
go watch that. That's good times. It's craziest story.
Yeah, we're 5 episodes in, so we still have a ways to go, and it's just getting dark.
Anyway, you haven't even gotten into it.
Any more questions?
Yeah.
What other questions we got?
Back to music. What are some newer bands that you love to listen to?
My favorite band is a band called Zeus, Zeus, out of Toronto. Toronto, if you're actually from there, they don't pronounce the second T. It's a little tidbit for you kids. It's Toronto, not Toronto. They've got 4 albums out, I think. Their most recent album was called Classic Zeus, which is just hilarious because it's a new album. But they're a mixture of everything I love. They remind me of like solo Lennon, solo McCartney, mixed with Queen and Bowie. And it's like I can hear their influences, and it's all my favorite bands. So check out a band called Zeus.
I got to write that down.
Yeah, an album called Busting Visions, an album called Classic Zeus, an album called oh man, this is bad, Quarantine Brain. I forget what the last one is called, or the second one. Anyways, band called Zeus. My brother's band, Miles Nielsen and the Rusted Hearts, are fantastic. I don't know. I'm not that hip on new music, unfortunately. I'm kind of like, I've been going backwards my whole life. Like, I started in the 90s and then like started realizing how great the bands in the 70s were, and then the 60s, and then you realize, oh, they liked this blues guy, and then you started listening to him, and then next thing you know, you're listening to 20s music, not 2020s, but 1920s music.
100 years old.
Yeah. So I don't know. My wife, she's got her finger on the pulse, so she listens to a lot of great stuff, like The War on Drugs. I like that a lot. What's that guy's name? Leon Bridges. I think he's pretty great. He's like a soul singer that's recent.
Okay.
I don't know. I kind of like a lot of things, but I'm not super hip at all. I need somebody else to tell me that somebody's really great before I don't just happen to fall upon music.
Yeah. Like, who is the band? Vampire Weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've really been listening to a lot of them lately.
They're interesting, yeah, aren't they?
Yeah. It's all over the place. I really dig that new album of theirs.
Totally.
But yeah, I'm always like, all right, I'm gonna go back and listen to stuff that I already know.
Right. It's tried and true.
Yep.
And I mean, like, you listen to the Beatles, there's so many songs and they're all great, and you start picking them apart, and it's like, how can you not listen to the Beatles every day?
Exactly. Oh, and do you want to listen to the later years or the early years?
Well, and then they remaster things, so now you hear things you didn't hear before. And
yep.
I just think I was listening to something today, and it's probably my favorite guitar solo of all time. And George Harrison's song "Something."
Yeah.
The ultimate guitar solo, just perfect.
So okay, next question. How are we doing on time?
I got nowhere to be.
You got a hot date to do or something?
Yeah, she's my wife. She's upstairs with my children. So whatever. I told her it'd probably be an hour and a half or so. So
yeah. So who were your favorite bands and drummers when you were growing up?
I started out my favorite band when I was my first favorite band ever was a band called the Violent Femmes, which is just a three-piece out of Milwaukee, I think.
Yes.
And the drummer he stood up and I just played brushes, I think. Didn't actually play drums. He just played like a cymbal and a snare drum. But I was just thinking yesterday that probably my favorite drummer was Chad Smith coming up, Chili Peppers drummer. He's funky, but not trying to be a funk drummer. He knows he knows what he is. He's a heavy hitting rock drummer, kind of funk to him. Lars was my idol. I played Metallica. That's what I really, what I cut my teeth to. I would just sit down and play metal. Vinnie Paul from Pantera.
Yeah.
I was a metalhead until I realized I was not very good at playing it. I got fast hands, but I never had fast feet. So I just couldn't ever play in a metal band. My feet were never fast enough. So that's when I started really getting into, I got into Pearl Jam pretty heavy. And then kind of moved into the Dave Matthews scene for a while, Carter Beauford.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first drummer that was kind of like, I guess like a fusion drummer or whatever you'd say, like a lot of crazy stuff. It wasn't just like, 4/4. He was doing stuff that I'd never heard before. So I didn't really grow up on like the fusion stuff. And then
he was a big influence for me.
Yeah, me too. And then then really dove head first into like the Ringos and the Phil Rudds, and just realized that like my favorite drummers just played for the song. They weren't going crazy up there. They were just making it feel good. Phil Rudd hardly ever plays a drum fill for AC/DC, but it's like only he could make that band sound like that. They've had other drummers. My alert just went out that the Chicago Cubs and the Pittsburgh Pirates are about to start in 5 minutes. Like,
oh yeah,
I get the updates every day about the Cubs about to start.
Just rubbing it in. Yeah, turn those notifications off, man.
I know. But yeah, I mean, those are my favorite drummers growing up. Matt Apps from Government Mule is a big influence on me. But really, it's I think Phil Rudd, and Ringo, Bonham. I mean, that's the typical.
Yeah,
the ones that everybody says, really.
Yeah, for sure. So, my buddy Willie, he's out in Arizona.
Willie,
he's a huge fan of yours too. I know. Willie, let us know how many times you've seen the band. He wants to know when you guys are on the road.
Uh-huh.
Do you listen to a lot of music, or is it more quiet time on the bus?
Absolutely quiet. I mean, on the bus, I hate to say it, but I avoid it. I go to my bunk, but a lot of news. The men in the band, they like their news 24/7.
Yeah.
I can't watch the news. It's even when times are okay. It's sensational. Everything's so sensationalized. But no, and like in the vans, like a lot of times when we're not on the tour bus, we'll be in like a SUV with a driver or whatever, and No, it's dead silent. If the radio's on when we get in the car, immediately, hey, can you turn the radio off?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody comes up these days too. Like everybody has headphones in or on, big whether they're earbuds or actual headphones.
No, nobody wants to sit around and watch baseball.
Yeah. Oh, we do. Garrett, we make sure that the bus has the baseball package because we all love baseball. Tom's a big Giants fan. Robin's a Rays fan. I'm a Cubs fan. Rick doesn't care.
Yeah. So of course you're still in Rockford.
Yeah.
And Rick's still in Rockford.
Mm-hmm.
And where's the rest of the guys? Where are they living at?
Tom is in Nashville. He's been in Nashville for 20 plus years. And Robin is in Tampa, Florida.
Okay. So then you just do your fly-ins. You just fly in from wherever everybody's at and meet up at the show.
Yeah, I mean, I live in Illinois, so I'm a little less than an hour from O'Hare, and I have a direct flight just about anywhere in the world, which is great. I mean, like I know for Robin and Tom always has to connect out of Nashville somewhere, and so Robin out of Tampa. So they fly more than I do because they usually have 2 or 3 flights every time they go somewhere. But yeah, we fly up, meet up. Usually we fly in the night before. So say we have gigs Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So we'll leave Wednesday evening.
Yeah.
Spend the night and have be where we ever. That way, if flights are canceled or there's weather or whatever, it's like you can be where you need to be.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. This one's actually about your dad. Any idea how many guitars your dad actually owns?
At this point, I think it's much less than it used to be. I think he's got like 250 now, something like that.
That's it?
Yeah, I mean, he used to have like 500, but I say, he'll trade 2 Bs for an A, like quality wise. Like,
okay,
I got these 2 good Stratocasters. I'll give you these 2 Stratocasters for 1, A plus Les Paul or something, so he's trying to he's consolidated, gotten rid of lesser ones for one better one.
Yeah. He's because he usually uses how many guitars a night in a show do you think he goes through?
We play approximately 20 songs a show, so probably at least 20 guitars.
Oh jeez.
Different songs, different guitar for every song. He might repeat
awesome.
a guitar here and there, but usually it's
So all right, let me see. We had about 45 people still watching. So if you guys have any questions at all, Daxx is an open book here, man.
Yeah, baby.
He wants to talk to people about stuff.
I got nowhere else to be.
So and if you haven't done it yet, he's got his Instagram page. Follow him on his Instagram. Lots of very, very useful information.
Yeah, right.
Comes out. But there was an art question. I had somebody ask about art.
Yes.
Let me see that.
I'm actually looking.
Where'd you go?
Can you still see me?
I can still see you.
Okay, because I'm looking. I can't see the comments unless I go to a different page for whatever reason.
People want to rename you Daxx Exotic.
That's not bad.
You needed some new shirts to sell, right?
Yeah, I wish I could sell mine. Hey,
all right, we just got one.
Okay,
weirdest misspelling of your last name.
Knealson. I got on a pizza box one time. Neil. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Somebody put a K at Neil, like your knees. But pretty much the only spelling I don't ever get is the correct one. So I've seen them all.
Yeah. Tell us. This person wants to know. Mark wants to know. He saw that you got your new kit the other day.
Yeah.
He wants to know about that.
I went back to classic maple, which is 9 plies. My last 4 drum sets, which sounds ridiculous. My last 4 drum sets 2 of them were legacy classics. They're all legacy classics. 2 of them were mahogany, and 2 of them were maple. But my drum tech Todd Trent and we were talking one day and said, like, every time we get a backline kit, and for those who don't know, backline means a rental kit. If we fly somewhere and we're not bringing our own gear, you rent gear, and that's called backline. Every time we get a backline Ludwig, it's typically classic maple, and every time we get one, I look at him like, man, this drum set sounds great, So this year he's like, why don't we try classic maple again? So it's a 9-ply. The finish is called Vintage Bronze Mist. It's actually a brownish color, but it's matte finish. There's no lacquer, I guess you would say.
Okay.
And then the bass drum has gold sparkle inlaid hoops, which are just amazing. Like, really makes it pop. And
Nice.
It's a 14 by 24 kick drum, a 10 by 14 rack tom, and a 16 by 16 floor tom, just a 4-piece, and then a Black Beauty, 6.5 inch by 14 Black Beauty. I don't know. I used to play bigger kits, but for the last 9-10 years, just with Cheap Trick, it's like, you don't need anything more than a 4-piece, really. Maybe a 5-piece would be fun, but it's just one more thing to set up, and I'm lazy, and
Yeah.
I don't want
I love a 4-piece kit, man.
Yeah. I
Like,
used to play in this band called A Fine Frenzy for a few years, and I literally I played a 3-piece. I had a floor tom, kick, and a snare. It's like,
wow.
why? I don't need it. I would set up the rack time every day and have to tune it. And like, I hit this thing like twice a show. Like,
Yeah.
it was, there's another one. I'm not a big drum fill guy. I mean, I got the chops, but I tend just to try to make the beat feel good and not do a ton of fills. So
Yeah, that's the job, man. If you can't do
that's-
that, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, and then you're a Zildjian guy.
Yes. It's funny. I'm officially a Zildjian guy now as of last summer, but I've been with them for years. And Sarah, the head of Zildjian, I was like, hey, I got a day off. I'm going to be in Boston. I got a day off. I'd love to come and say, actually, yeah, we'll come to my office right away. I need to talk to you about something. I was like, okay, sure. She comes in. She's like, I thought you were a Zildjian artist. I'm like, well, not technically. And she's like, here's like, let's officially endorse you. Like, she thought I was, she's like, well, we love you. Like, we've always just given you what you need. And, it's like, I've been with them for a decade, but I never actually got signed. I think they just thought I was a Zildjian artist. So,
Wow. So you didn't get any of the pictures in the magazines or?
Well, I think that, I talked to her at one point about it, and she's like, it's a piece of paper that's signed. Like, we love you. Like, whatever you need, and she's like, I'm paraphrasing, but basically she said, she didn't say this, but what she was alluding to is that, I'm not in a big enough band, or I'm not a big enough drummer that I'm not going to be in any big publications, like, she didn't say that, but that means she's like, it doesn't matter if you sign with us or not. Like, we love you. Whatever you need, just let us know.
Yeah.
But then officially I'm signed with them now. So.
And let's see, what are the sticks you use?
Oh, sorry. That my first endorsement ever, kids. When I was 17, I wrote a handwritten letter to ProMark and said, my name is Daxx Nielsen. I'm a senior in high school. I'm in a band with my brother, and I want to be a famous drummer someday. Or I don't remember what I said, but I laid out my future plans for them in a letter, and I got a phone call from Kevin Radomski, who doesn't work there anymore. But he was like, "This is unbelievable! Like, you took we want to endorse you." Like, that was, I've never gotten a handwritten letter from somebody like telling me what their future was gonna hold. So I've been with them since '97. Before I was I wasn't even out of high school yet. So I've been with them for 23 years now.
That's great.
And then I play Evans drumheads because they're great, but also because they're under the same umbrella as ProMark, which is the D'Addario family. D'Addario, however you pronounce it. So I have one A&R guy that I talk to and deal with for my heads and sticks. So that really helps because, we'll do one order at a time instead of having to talk to, multiple. Because you go through heads and sticks more than you go through cymbals or drums, obviously.
Yeah.
So I'm very lucky. My representative at ProMark is also, he's been my guy for a few years now. He's a big Cheap Trick fan, so that helps a whole bunch.
So, another question. Of course, you were supposed to do the ZZ Top and the Rod Stewart tours.
Yep.
Is there a group that you have not toured with that you would really just die to?
Oh, AC/DC. I could watch them every night. It's just them. I don't know. I mean, we've kind of toured with everybody at this point that that we would like to. I mean, there's certain bands though that like Pearl Jam. They play 3.5 hours, 4 hours a night. Like I'd love to play with Pearl Jam every night, but they don't have opening acts. You know.
Yeah.
I'd like to open for Paul McCartney every night, but he doesn't have an opening act. You know? There's the bands that I would really love to open for, like bucket list bands, don't really have opening acts. So
exactly.
And if they do, they don't pay them anything because like you're opening for them. You know, like a lot of bands. You know, these people that are selling out stadiums, they pay $5,000 to the opening act or something like that. You know, it's like you can't tour on $5,000 a night.
No, like I couldn't even tell you. I saw the Stones at Soldier Field last summer.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you who the opener was. I know there was an opener.
If there was, I don't know either. I didn't go. I was offered tickets to Soldier Field, and they were on the 60-yard line. Like I would be, over 60 yards away. Like I don't want to sit in a giant crowd like that and just watch a TV screen. You know.
Yeah, that's what it felt like to me. We were probably about the 40-yard line from the stage, but the upper deck.
Yeah, right.
And it was like so far away, and you could kind of see these little bitty dudes. Mick was still running around like a crazy man.
Oh yeah,
like he probably logged 10 miles that night on stage.
After heart surgery too. How about that?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was the first night back of their tour.
Yeah,
that we saw him.
Crazy.
I'm like, the dude is 76 years old. Could put me to shame. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah,
he probably logged 10 miles.
I know some people that are kind of in their circle, and like they say his second job is to be in the Stones. His number one job is to stay fit. Like that's all he does is keeps in shape. You know. Yeah,
because Keith didn't move all night. He just hung out.
He quit smoking and drinking. Like, what's this world coming to? This is
But Daryl Jones was like, he was amazing. The bass player. That guy can get down, man.
He played for Sting. He played for Miles Davis. He's legit.
Yeah. He was great. So more questions about the Nielsen Trust. Yeah, they'll be rescheduling whenever this is all passed.
Yes.
Do you have a vintage drum kit that you just love?
My first kit ever, I have every drum set I've ever owned. I've got the Rick Nielsen gene in me. I can't get rid of anything. I bought the first kit that I ever got when I was 12 it's a Octo Plus or whatever they're called. It's a 10-piece Vistalite kit, a Ludwig Vistalite, which is the ones that are like plastic, they're see-through. So I love that one. That was back in my metal days, so I needed 4 rack toms and 2 floor toms and 2 kits.
Of course.
So now
I had a kit like that when I was in high school.
Yeah, got that. I've got it's not vintage, but the first I signed with Ludwig when I was in '99. That my first kit I ever got as an endorsed artist. That's probably. Is
it like the maroon one?
Yeah,
used to play.
It was the same one that you would have seen me play back when we played together. It's called Coral. It's like it's just a little darker than cherry red, I'd say.
Yeah.
It's got a bit of orange in it, a little coral, if you will.
I remember that kit. It was beautiful.
It still sounds so good. It's one of those like that was an era for me. I would never get rid of that kit.
Yeah.
I always see these guys, and God bless them, but they get married or they get a divorce or they have kids. Like they sell their drum set for like $1,500. Like, and then 10 years later, like, man, I wish I had that kit. Like, man, you could have made $1,500 some other way and selling a kit. Don't do that.
No kidding. Yeah, I had a buddy of mine that actually went through a divorce, and he had a great collection.
Yeah.
And instead of like selling it off and letting her get her hands on it, he's like, I'm donating this to the school. So
Yes.
I actually, this drum kit that's right next to me here, this little practice kit, it's a Pearl Vision kit.
She's a beaut.
He's like, just take that for the school.
Yeah.
And then
When
got some
when
other
my
really
divorce
nice
is
stuff from him
finalized,
too.
I'll take it back for $1, please.
You got your use out of it.
Yeah.
So I got a Cubs question for you.
Okay.
Because everybody knows you're a big Cubs fan. If you could go back in time, is there any one Cubs game that you wish you were at?
Oh man. I don't know. I mean, I think the first night game would have been kind of fun, where they installed the lights. I think in '88 that would have been.
And it got rained out.
That's right, didn't it? So,
And it lasted like 4 innings or something.
Yeah.
Game 7 of the World Series would be it for me.
Yeah, that would. I mean, where were you? I was in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, on a night off. Luckily.
Yeah. I was right here in my basement.
Oh.
Drinking spotted cow, actually.
I hugged like 4 people. I was on tour, so I didn't know anybody. Obviously, I'm at a bar with people I've never met. Like, I'm hugging total strangers. And, like, you know, like I called my wife and I said, "This is the greatest day of my life," and she goes, "Really? Really, this is the best day of your life?"
Well,
I mean,
so the next day after the Cubs won the World Series, my wife was at work and she'd call me, "Hey, how are things going?"
Mm-hmm.
And because I think I stayed up till 2 or 3 in the morning that night,
right,
just watching Comcast and hearing all the the playbacks. And I think the night it happened, I think I cried 3 times. Because like when it happened, and then little bit later, and then they played Pat Hughes's play call at probably like 1:30 in the morning. They were talking to Theo doing an interview, and they're like, "Have you heard Pat's call yet?" He's like, "No, I haven't. I haven't even thought about it."
Right.
And they played it, and blah! And then the next morning, I got up and messing on my phone and just watched some video, cried again. Then there was a Harry Carey Bud Light commercial, the Budweiser commercial.
Oh man,
that was Harry Carey calling.
I remember that. Yeah.
So my wife calls and she's like, "Oh, how you recovering from last night?" I'm like, "I have cried more today than I did at the birth of either one of my children." And she's like, "Seriously?" Like, I'm like, "But if think about it, I've wanted this much longer than I've ever wanted children."
My grandpa died, God, 5 years ago, something like that. And he was 94 years old or something like that. And he's, there was never a Cubs World Series in his lifetime.
Yeah.
He was like 94 years old.
Yeah. Like, I just lost it. And it still gives me goosebumps when I watch on the new Marquee Network.
Yeah.
They play some of
not that it matters right now, but
it does. Well, the good thing about it, they still show like old games.
Yeah.
Like the other day I watched, they had Harry Carey's last game that he called.
It was like, like the vintage ones.
Yeah. Like old school games, like the Ryan Sandberg game.
Right.
From way back. They played that on there, which I never actually got to see when it happened.
Right.
And like the Kerry Wood 20 strikeout game has been played on there.
Still, they say that statistically that was the best pitch game of any game ever pitched.
Yeah.
Like statistically, like, there's other games that people can think of that were like perfect games, but whatever. There's some statistic that it was actually the best pitch game of all time.
Yeah.
I'll believe it.
So yeah. When you first started playing, did Bunny teach you anything?
Yeah. I mean, not like directly, but we would play together. We would call it trading fours. You set up 2 drum kits, and for 4 measures or 8 or however long you decide, I would play straight beat 3, 4, and then I would go. Then I would take, and he would do drum fills or do a solo while I was doing that, and then he would do 4 bars while I would do stuff. And one of us, whoever was going first, would start, and then so say he did 4 bars of stuff, I would try to, like, from my memory, do what he did. So like through that, I guess I learned a lot. But I mean, I watched 150 Chick Trick shows before I ever actually played with them. So like Yeah, I mean, I watched him more than any other drummer in history, probably.
Yeah.
Or in my life.
So, okay. Well, as of right now,
indirectly.
Yeah, and the proximity. You're always there. He's always.
Yep.
I was always there to show you what you needed to do if you had any questions. So.
That's right, baby.
But so right now we pretty much covered all the real good questions, I think. So, what else you want to talk about, man?
I think that's all I got. I think I gotta get back to upstairs and see the kids.
Yeah, my kids were out playing with the next door neighbor kids. So
quarantine.
I hope that
14 years.
Well, it's all girls, so they're fine.
Okay, good.
So yeah.
Well, thanks for having me.
Of course, follow Daxx on his Instagram. There's the Instagram tag for him. If you enjoyed this and you want to help support the Rock Academy, we have a Venmo and a PayPal. You can just, even if it's just $1 or $2, help out this whole program.
Yes. It's for the kids.
This is the third Q&A we've done. We did one with Kent from Luke Bryan the other day. We did one with Tori Lucetta from Tesla the other day. I just lined up. I'm actually talking with Rudy Sarzo on Friday.
He's a great guy.
Rudy's the man. We've done a few things with him, so I'm excited about that. And then Matt Starr is later this week also.
Oh, nice.
So
I've known Matt I used to play drums for Matt. I didn't even know he was a drummer until 6-7 years into knowing the guy. He stopped playing drums. You're talking about Mustache Matt, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There's actually two Matt Stars in LA.
Okay. Mustache Matt.
The other one's Canadian Matt. There's Canadian Matt Star and there's Mustache Matt Star. He had a cover band called the King Mixers, and we would play every Friday. I was like his sub drummer. He had a usual drummer, but yeah, I played for years for that guy. And then one day he's like, "I'm gonna start playing drums again." And the next thing you know, he's like killing it and playing for all these people. It's like, good for you.
Yeah. So yeah, he's with Ace Frehley now and Mr. Big.
Nice.
So yeah, he's a good dude. So
tell him I said hello, please.
I will do. You can hop on and ask him some questions if you want to.
When is that?
That one is Thursday afternoon.
Okay, cool.
And then Rudy's on Friday.
Nice.
So I'm trying to reach out to as many cool guys that want to sit and chat as possible. So I appreciate your time and
pleasure.
Next time I'm up that way, my in-laws live just north of you in Janesville. So
that's where
I drive.
My mother-in-law was born in Janesville. So.
Yeah. So I drive through the Rockford area quite a bit. We'll have to grab some dinner, some tacos or something sometime.
I remember those. Man, it sucks. Like my favorite place near me, like the really good Mexican restaurants in Rockford are on the south side, which is a good 20 minutes from my house. So, but there's a place near me that I could take the kids to all the time, and they're not doing like the carry out. They're totally closed. I'm like, I hope they can open up again eventually, like because this whole thing might end like a lot of businesses. So
a lot of businesses, we're of course not able to be in our location with the school, so everything's online lessons right now. Yeah, but rent for the facility still has to be paid.
Does it? And I think you can get. I think they're trying to say that rent isn't going to be due for a lot of people.
Well, they can't. I read something that they can't evict you.
Yes.
During this time.
Right.
So I'm trying to work with the property managers and figure out what we can do to make sure we do still have a place if this goes on for too long.
Well, it's going to go on for a while, I tell you what.
Yeah. So kind of a scary thing, but once this is all passed, if we all adapt and we'll make it happen and keep supporting the places that are open, because there's a lot of good restaurants, man. I don't want to see them go.
That's what I'm talking about.
And like some of my favorite bar hangouts.
Oh,
yeah, like they can't do anything. I do.
I miss shows.
I miss my old life.
It was pretty good, wasn't it?
It was good.
Now we're just blathering.
Yeah.
Talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Well, thanks. Thank you, buddy. I'm going to end the broadcast right now. Here we go.